When people think about video games, they think of Mario, the poster child of video games itself. But with over 200 games donning the little red plumber, there's bound to be something that you don't know. So today, let's take a look at 100 Super Mario facts that you probably don't know. Starting off with the original Super Mario Bros., this game pushed Mario to be an instant household name. As only 5 years after its release in 1985, a study taken in North America suggested that more children in the United States were familiar with Mario than they were with Mickey Mouse. Despite being a straightforward game, the book Super Mario Bros. The Complete Strategy Guide was the top-selling book in Japan for 1985, the year after the game's release. It was also the top-selling book in Japan for 1986. Nintendo hates emulation, except when they don't. They ported it over to the GBA for the Famicom Minis collection in Japan. It's also emulated on the GameCube's Animal Crossing game, it's emulated on the NES Classic, and many more on top of the Virtual Console. No one knows the exact release date of Super Mario Bros. In North America. The NES was released in test markets in October of 1985, but the exact date is still disputed. Super Mario Bros. Deluxe is just the NES game ported over to the GameCube Color, but at the time, having the biggest video game of all time in your pocket was insane. GameSpot rated this port a 9.9, and it stayed the highest rated game in the series all the way until 2010 with Super Mario Galaxy 2. This game did actually have some additional features, including a You vs. Boo mode, where you race against a Super Mario World Boo sprite. This unlocks after reaching 100,000 points in the main mode, which makes it one of the only times in the series where this points counter does anything meaningful. Everyone knows that the first ever Super Mario Bros. Enemy is a Goomba, but there was almost a universe where it was a Koopa. When asked by Eurogamer, Miyamoto said originally we had a Koopa Troopa that came out, but we thought it may be a little too difficult for players to jump on it and kick it. That's why we created the Goomba. The first 7 Bowsers you fight are actually all fake. If you kill Bowser with the Fire Flower power-up, you'll see that the Goomba pops out during the fight within the first 7 worlds. It was a Goomba the whole time. All Night Nippon is a Japanese radio program which is still airing today. In 1986, we got an All Night Nippon Super Mario Bros., which upon first viewing, at least to me, looks more like an old Flash animation than anything official Nintendo would make. Super Mario Bros. Has got nothing on Super Luigi Bros., which is just a mirrored version of the game with Luigi instead of Mario. He does have a higher jump, however. Hudson Soft, yes, Hudson Soft, released Super Mario Bros. Special, an officially licensed PC port of the original game. If you follow Nintendo closely, you'll know just how insane this is looking back. Nintendo also released an arcade port of Super Mario Bros. Titled Versus Super Mario Bros., which was a more competitive version of the game that added minor changes to some levels to make them fit more for an arcade port. The game was later ported to the Switch as part of the Arcade Archive series. Super Mario Bros. 2 in Japan didn't release overseas, as Nintendo thought other players would not like the game's difficulty. The game was eventually made available to overseas players via the Super Mario All-Stars on the SNES, and the name was changed to Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels. The Super Mario Bros. 2 that the rest of the world got was simply an already existing game, Doki Doki Panic, and the protagonists were replaced with Mario characters. This version of the game was playable in Japan, however, through the Famicom's Satellaview, and it was titled Super Mario Bros. USA. Considering Super Mario Bros. 2 was a reskin of Doki Doki Panic, this means that iconic Mario characters like Birdo and Shy Guy were first introduced in a game that weren't even originally Mario characters. You can actually jump over the flagpole in Super Mario Bros. This became an actual feature in the Lost Levels when a warp zone could be found past the flagpole. The first ever video game Daisy ever appeared in is Super Mario Land, where she takes on the role as the kidnapped princess in Sarasa Land. Despite being an established Mario character since 1989, Daisy has only been playable in one mainline Mario game, and it's actually Super Mario Run, where her and her double jump were made unlockable through the game's Remix 10 update. Many Americans' first exposure to Super Mario Bros. 3 was through the 1989 film The Wizard. Super Mario Bros. 3 is the final game used for the movie's video game tournament, despite the film releasing even before the actual title. When Super Mario Bros. 3 was being localized for North America, the manual gave Koopalings no unique names. All the names of the Koopalings were provided from Dave Brooks, who named them after famous musicians, singers, and celebrities. For instance, Ludwig von Koopa was named after Ludwig van Beethoven because of the resemblance to their wild hairstyles. The Adventures of Super Mario Bros. 3 gave all the Koopalings unique names, as the show was produced before the localization of the game. Wendy is probably the weirdest name, being Cootie Pie. Crouching on these white blocks for a certain amount of time in Super Mario Bros. 3 will put the player behind the level, allowing them to run past anything. If you try to recreate this in Super Mario Maker, Mario will do a slight jump as a nod to this original Easter egg. Super Mario Bros. 3's port for the Game Boy Advance added 38 additional levels to the original game that could only be obtained through scanning cards on the e-reader. These levels were made available on the Wii U's port without the need of the cards. Have you ever wondered why the Super Mario Bros. Advance games comes with Mario Bros? Apparently this was done so anyone with any of these games could play multiplayer through the GBA's link cable. While Miyamoto wanted to implement a rideable dinosaur since Super Mario Bros., Yoshi was never a power-up until the release of Super Mario World due to the hardware limitations of the NES. However, you can ride Yoshi in an NES game, that being an NES port of Mario is Missing, which released in 1994 long after the Super Nintendo. According to Super Mario World's manual, the sunken ghost ship level you encounter is actually one of the airships you downed in Super Mario Bros. 3. While everyone is familiar with Peach's Castle and Bowser's Castle, Mario actually had his own castle in Super Mario Land 2, which Wario ends up stealing and rebranding as his own castle. Despite being an entirely new franchise, the first Wario Land and Yoshi's Island games were given the subtitles Super Mario Land 3 and Super Mario Land 2, which was likely done in order to market the game to people familiar with Mario. However, does this technically make Wario Land 2 Super Mario Land 4 and Yoshi's Island DS Super Mario World 3? New Super Mario Bros. Mii was a tech demo for the Wii U that allowed players to play as their Mii and was mostly designed to show off the gamepad's ability to play games without a TV. This ended up becoming New Super Mario Bros. U, as you might have guessed. In 2015, Nintendo brought back their iconic Nintendo World Championships 25 years after the first one was hosted. The game's final event was a contest between who could get the fastest times in the levels Nintendo Treehouse designed for Super Mario Maker, a game that hadn't even been released at the time. Not only had the game yet to release, but some of the tools used in the levels had never been shown off before, which definitely caught the players off guard. After completing every special world level in Super Mario World, the levels will turn fall colored and certain enemies will don Mario masks. The 4 colors displayed on the top of the Special World screen are a reference to the button layout in the Super Famicom's controllers. In the Japanese version of Super Mario World, Yoshi can eat dolphins, but in the international releases, he can't. It was re-added to the GBA port in 2001. In 2019, a fan created a Super Mario Battle Royale online game in which 100 players tried to make it the furthest in the original Super Mario Bros. Nintendo ended up taking the project down only to release their own Mario Battle Royale the next year, titled Super Mario Bros. 35. They then went on to stop support for their own game months later, making it no longer playable. Super Mario Bros. 3 released twice in English. In the second version, many of the world's names were changed. Examples including Big Island to Giant Land and Kupahari Desert to Desert Land. The infinite one-ups trick from the original Super Mario Bros. Isn't a glitch or exploit. According to Miyamoto, the developers tested it and intentionally left it in the game to reward advanced players. But to his surprise, some players were very good at performing it. This island from World 3 of Super Mario Bros. 3 is shaped like Japan, and its castle's place for Nintendo HQ is in Kyoto. If you let the chain chomp charge at you 50 times, it'll actually break free of its chains and attack you. The original founders of ID Software built a prototype for a PS port of Super Mario Bros. 3, but when they presented it to Nintendo, the project was shut down. Despite their perceived failure, they went on to create Doom in 1993. Some enemies from Super Mario Bros. 3 are based on real-life experiences from the developers. Chain chomps are based on Miyamoto almost being bitten by a ferocious dog as a child, and Takashi Tezuka said that boos were based off his wife, who was typically shy and timid but one day exploded at him for spending too much time at work. To promote the release of Super Mario Maker, Miyamoto answered Mario questions relating to a few Mario myths in a video uploaded to Nintendo UK's YouTube channel. In this video, he confirmed that Super Mario Bros. 3 was all just a play from the moment you see the curtains open. In the Japanese version of Super Mario World and the GBA port of the game, Yoshi's house is signed Super Dragon Yoshi. Super Dragon is also the name of Yoshi's final smash from Brawl and Smash 4. To celebrate the 25th anniversary of Super Mario, Nintendo produced a limited release of Super Mario All-Stars for the Nintendo Wii. The game is so identical to the original SNES title that the game's controller settings still display SNES controls instead of Wiimotes. New Super Luigi U intentionally dropped the bros from its title as Mario is no longer present. Oddly enough, his hat can be seen attending Peach's birthday though. Mario is replaced by Nabbit, who is the only Mario enemy to be playable in a mainline Mario game. He also steals items and cannot be hit by other enemies. Most copies of Super Mario Bros. Games that were sold were the version that included Duck Hunt in the cartridge. There were also another version that included Super Mario Bros., Duck Hunt, and World Class Track Meet. It was revealed in a 1993 Nintendo character guide that Yoshi's full name is T. Yoshisaur Munchakoopas. The T stands for Time to Subscribe. I'm so sorry, I had to do it. Since 1981, Mario had always been depicted wearing a blue shirt with red overalls. However, this was changed with the release of Super Mario Bros. 2, which swapped his palette to the modern red shirt with blue overalls, though the manual of the game still depicted him otherwise. Peach also had her color palette changed. In the original Super Mario Bros., she sports red hair, and she has brown hair in Super Mario Bros. 2 and 3, and she's had blonde hair since the release of Super Mario World. Many people are under the impression that Princess Toadstool and Princess Peach are two different characters because of this. However, Peach was merely her Japanese name, which was slowly adopted after the release of Mario 64. Super Mario Maker 2 had new game styles that were so unique that they required the creator to reset their entire level in order to use them. Yet despite the plurality of this text, Super Mario 3D World was the only game featured in this section. The first Mario game made without Shigeru Miyamoto's involvement was Super Mario Land. Super Mario Run is the only mainline Mario game not available on Nintendo consoles. Super Mario Maker was originally going to be a successor to Mario Paint before the creators decided to make the game into a do-it-yourself level creation title. The game features several references to Mario Paint, including some of the game's music and sound effects, along with this fly-swatting minigame being originally from the SNES title. Splatoon beta graphics can be found inside the code of Super Mario Maker. Super Mario Land games are the only 2D Mario games not to feature Luigi. It's possible to play as Luigi in New Super Mario Bros. You can only play as him in the main story by holding down L and R as you press A when selecting a file. After completing New Super Mario Bros., if you input the secret code while on the world map, you'll enable a secret challenge mode which disables moving backwards in a level, similar to how the first games work. If you enter the final level of Peach's castle as Peachette in New Super Mario Bros. U, Peach will act confused when you enter. If you lose all your lives in the original Super Mario Bros., you can hold A and start on the title screen and go back to the beginning of the last world died on. In the Super Mario All-Stars port of Mario Bros. 3, the creatures the kings transformed into were all changed to different characters across Super Mario games. The mushroom and flagpole sound effects are the same. The mushroom sound effect is just sped up a little bit. It's possible to beat Super Mario World without fighting a single boss, using a complicated glitch that breaks the game and summons the credits. At this time, the official record for Super Mario Bros. Is 4 minutes and 54 seconds, held by speedrunner Nifsky. The names of the levels from Super Mario World's special zones are all 90s slang terms that loosely mean cool. There's an additional 256 levels inside of Super Mario Bros. However, they're super buggy and impossible to finish. The most popular way to access them is by putting Super Mario Bros. In the NES, taking it out, putting in tennis, starting a game, then take it out, and then put Mario Bros. Back in and hold A and start. Not sure how anyone figured this out, but it's super cool nonetheless. World 9 of Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels can only be accessed if you beat the game without using a warp pipe. 4 more secret worlds can be unlocked in the Lost Levels after beating the game. The demo level you see on the title screen is actually an unfinished special world level named Groovy. There's a hidden test level inside of Super Mario World that uses rotating blocks to spell out the word test. There are over 200 copies of this level in the game. The symbol on Yoshi's mailbox is actually the logo for the Japanese Postal Service. The mini mushroom power-up from New Super Mario Bros. Actually made its first appearance in Mario Party 4, where it was also used to allow players to enter small pipes. With New Super Mario Bros. 2's marketing being centered around collecting coins, collecting 1 million coins will result in a golden Mario statue appearing on the title screen. The only way to fully 100% New Super Mario Bros. 2 is to collect a total of 9,999,999 coins, which will put a golden raccoon Mario statue on the title screen. If you want to have 5 sparkling stars on your save file in New Super Mario Bros. Wii, you have to 100% the game without ever seeing a super guide, which will appear on the level when you fail to clear it 8 times. Red Yoshi was originally going to appear in New Super Mario Bros. Wii, however he was replaced by Pink Yoshi during development. The Mario on the Super Mario Bros. 2 box art was actually taken from the Japanese and European box arts of Super Mario Bros. The mushroom in his hand was replaced for a turnip to make it more unique to that game. You can activate Easy Mode in Super Mario Land 2 by pressing Select on the file selection screen. New Super Mario Bros. 2 is actually the 3rd New Super Mario Bros. Game. You probably already knew this, but I thought it was just so dumb that I had to include it. Peach's final smash plays a sped up version of the song that plays in Coin Heavens in Super Mario Bros. 3. The only mainline Mario game that does not feature underwater levels are Super Mario Bros. 2 and Super Mario Run. Super Mario Bros. On the NES remained the best-selling Mario game for over 35 years, until it was recently passed by Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. You probably already know that the Mercedes GLA was a kart part in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but did you know that it was also a costume in Super Mario Maker? Using the music box item on the world map of Super Mario Bros. 3 will play a relaxing version of the original Super Mario Bros. Theme. World 1-1 of Super Mario Bros. Was specifically designed to help teach the player how to play the game. Everything from the placement of the question mark blocks to the Goomba to the green pipes helped gradually teach the player how to maneuver the world of Mario. Mario is 5'1". Super Mario World was subtitled as Super Mario Bros. 4 in Japan. The only Nintendo system that does not have a Super Mario title is the Virtual Boy. There was going to be one, however, called VB Mario Land, but it was cancelled due to the extremely poor sales of the Virtual Boy. The credits for Super Mario Bros. 2 has several errors, such as Ostro and Birdo having their names switched. The Super Ball power-up from Super Mario Land has no visual indication on Mario that he holds the power-up. In the standard release of Super Mario World, Luigi is just a palette swap Mario, but in the All-Stars version, Luigi gets his own sprite. In the Game Boy Advance version, Luigi gets another new sprite and can now jump higher. In the original Super Mario Bros., Small Mario is incapable of crouching. However, he was later given this ability in Super Mario Maker 2. It's technically possible to upload an unbeatable level in Super Mario Maker using glitches, despite the developer's intentions. Coins are the only item to make an appearance in every mainline Mario game. Mamma mia, that was a lot. If you enjoyed this video and you want to hear more Nintendo trivia, be sure to check out this Zelda video right here where I tell you all about the facts that you might not know.